Common wisdom holds that power isn't lost in a single stroke. We imagine the king falling in battle, the CEO fired in a public scandal, or the sudden collapse of a fortune. We are conditioned to fear the loud, the sudden, and the catastrophic. But this is a lie. Power does not vanish overnight. It is not stolen by a thief in the dark. Instead, it slowly erodes. It crumbles away in silence, grain by grain, often in the very places you would least expect to find danger. It is a slow hemorrhage of the soul, invisible until the moment you try to stand up and realize you no longer have the legs to support your own weight. This brings me to a rather uncomfortable yet crucial question. I want you to look at your life right now. Not at your bank account, not at your job title, but at your environment. Consider the physical and digital spaces you frequent on a daily basis. How many of them are insidiously draining your mental strength without your conscious awareness? As far back as 1513, Niccolò Machiavelli, the master of strategy, astutely observed that one's surroundings could prove to be a more formidable and swifter destroyer than any overt enemy. An enemy army you can see. You can build walls against them. You can prepare your defenses. But a toxic environment. It is like a colorless, odorless gas. You breathe it in every single day, and you do not realize you're dying until it is too late. Today, we are going to perform an autopsy on your reality. You might naturally assume that your strength is forged primarily by your willpower, your habits, or your genetics. Yet, Machiavelli put forth a more disquieting assertion. He claimed that a person is ultimately defined by the territory they choose to inhabit. If this profound insight holds true, then where in your life is your personal power quietly dissipating? Machiavelli perceived all spaces, whether a physical room, a social circle, or a mental state, as one of two things: either an insidious trap designed to ensnare you, or a fortress built to empower you. There is no neutral ground. Stay with me until the very end. We are going to dismantle the 7 external traps and the 7 internal prisons that are currently holding your potential hostage. This is not just philosophy. This is a survival guide for the modern mind. Let us begin with the world outside your skin. Machiavelli observed that even the most powerful princes were ultimately destroyed, not by wars, but by the court, the daily environment of flatterers, fools, and noise that surrounded them. Here are the 7 most perilous environments that act as parasites on your power. Number 1 is the company of the mediocre. The first dangerous site is not a building, it is a circle of people. Machiavelli asserted that personal power inevitably dissolves when you consistently surround yourself with individuals who demand nothing of themselves. We often think we are immune to the influence of others. We think, I am strong. Their laziness won't affect me. This is arrogance. In his letters, Machiavelli noted that the human spirit inevitably comes to resemble those with whom it keeps company. It is a process of osmosis. If you sit in a room with 5 people who have given up on their dreams, you will be the 6th. Shared mediocrity transforms into a corrosive habit. It lowers your baseline. In their presence, your grand ideas appear exaggerated. Your discipline feels like trying too hard. They don't need to attack you. They simply drag you down to their level through the gravity of their inaction. You must audit your circle. You do not need to be cruel, but you must be distant. Withdraw your energy from the mediocre, or you will drown with them. Number 2 is the echo chamber. This is the circle where everyone agrees with you. This feels good. It feels like support. It feels like loyalty. But Machiavelli warned that flattery is the sweetest poison because it intoxicates the recipient. When you are in an environment where your ideas are never challenged, where your jokes are always laughed at, and where your mistakes are always excused, you are rotting. Growth requires friction. A muscle only grows when it encounters resistance. A mind only sharpens when it strikes against the whetstone of a differing opinion. The princes who surrounded themselves with yes-men were always the first to lose their thrones, because they became blind to reality. Seek out the site of friction. Find environments where you are the least knowledgeable person in the room. Find people who respect you enough to disagree with you. Number 3 is the Plaza of Lament. This is a pervasive environment in the modern world. It is the lunchroom where colleagues gather to moan about the boss. It is the online forum dedicated to outrage. It is the family gathering where everyone competes to see who has the hardest life. Machiavelli would call this the Plaza of Lament. It is dangerous because it feels productive. Complaining feels like doing something. It releases tension, but in reality, it is a leakage of power. When you inhabit a space of constant complaint, you are training your brain to look for problems rather than solutions. You are adopting the identity of the victim, and a victim can never be a sovereign. A victim waits for a savior. A sovereign saves themselves. If you linger here too long, you will forget your own ability to take decisive action. Become a gray rock to complainers. Do not engage. Do not nod. Starve the negativity of your attention and remove yourself physically from these conversations. Number 4 is the stage of masks. These are the spaces, professional or social, where you feel compelled to pretend to be someone else just to fit in. We all wear masks occasionally. Diplomacy requires it. But Machiavelli asserted that if you wear a mask for too long, the mask eventually eats the face. You forget who you are beneath it. Think of the energy it takes to maintain a lie. Think of the micro-calculations you make every second to ensure your persona is acceptable to others. This consumes a massive amount of mental RAM. It leaves you with zero energy for your actual work, your actual passions, or your actual life. In Florence, Machiavelli saw politicians who tried to be everything to everyone. They ended up being nothing to anyone. They weren't hated, but they were not respected, and without respect, power evaporates. Identify where you are performing. Stop. The moment you stop trying to impress people you don't like, you reclaim a vast reservoir of energy. Number 5 is the realm of noise. Machiavelli lived in a noisy time of swords and markets, but he could not have imagined the noise of the 21st century. This dangerous sight is the relentless, digital din of distractions. The constant notifications, the endless scroll, the 24-hour news cycle screaming for your fear. When you inhabit the realm of noise, your attention is shattered into 1,000 tiny shards. You cannot focus, you cannot think deeply. You become a reactive creature, swatting at flies instead of steering the ship. A scattered mind is a weak mind. A distracted individual loses strength not for lack of intelligence, but for an inability to bring that intelligence to bear on a single point. Machiavelli famously declared power truly belongs to him who masters silence. You must build a fortress of silence. You need periods of the day where you are unreachable. You need spaces where the world cannot touch you. Number 6 is the nest of envy. These are environments where every accomplishment is seen as a threat, not an inspiration. Have you ever shared good news, only to be met with a cold silence or a backhanded compliment? You're in the nest of envy, in these toxic spaces. The group enforces a rule that says, you are not better than us. If you stay here, you will unconsciously begin to self-sabotage. You will shrink yourself. You will hide your wins. You will speak more softly. You will diminish your light just to keep the peace. Machiavelli recognized this profound truth: whoever fears to shine has already surrendered. Envy is contagious, and it creates a crab bucket mentality where anyone trying to climb out is pulled back down. Leave. Do not try to fix envious people. Do not try to win them over with kindness. Their envy is not about you. It is about their own emptiness. Leave them to it. Number 7 is the trap of comfort, perhaps the most subtle and lethal of all. This is the environment where nothing demands anything of you. The job is easy. The salary is okay. The routine is set. Machiavelli deemed this the most perilous threshold. Why? Because struggle is the engine of vitality. Comfort acts as an anesthetic for the soul. It lulls you into a sleep. You tell yourself you are content, but actually, you are stagnating. You are being domesticated. To Machiavelli, Domestication was the most elegant form of slavery. A wolf that is fed by a master is no longer a wolf. It is a dog. It has traded its freedom for a full belly. Introduce strategic discomfort. If your life is too easy, you must artificially inject difficulty. Take a harder course. Train harder. Set an impossible goal. Wake up the wolf. We often believe dangerous places are only physical. We think we can just move to a new city or change jobs and everything will be fine. But Machiavelli understood that the most devastating prisons are not made of stone. They are constructed within the confines of our own skulls. You carry these sights with you. You sleep in them. You wake up in them. Let us shine a light on the 7 internal rooms you must evict yourself from. The first internal sight is the altar of memory. It is the memory you refuse to release. It is that one failure from 5 years ago, that one rejection, that one betrayal. You revisit this scene incessantly. You replay it in 4K resolution. You analyze what you should have said. You think you are learning from the past, but you are not. You are worshipping it. You have built an altar of memory, and you are sacrificing your present moment to a ghost. Machiavelli knew that a leader who looks backward cannot navigate forward. The past is a reference point, not a residence. What happened, happened. It is dead. Stop trying to resuscitate a corpse. Lock the door to this room and throw away the key. The second is the theater of anticipated fear. This is the room where you watch horror movies that haven't been filmed yet. It is the space of what if? What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I lose my money? In this mental construct, you become a prisoner of hypothetical scenarios that do not exist. You suffer the pain of failure without ever having tried. You suffer the shame of rejection without ever having asked. As Machiavelli stated, one who fears too much is defeated before the battle begins. Fear is imagination misused. It is using your creative power to construct your own dungeon. Most of the things you fear will never happen. And if they do, you will handle them then. Do not bleed before you are cut. The third is the court of comparison. This is the internal courtroom where you are always on trial, and the jury is made up of strangers you see on the internet. You endlessly measure your behind-the-scenes reality against everyone else's highlight reel. To compare is to hand the keys of your kingdom to others. You permit them to dictate your worth. A mind engaged in comparison never governs itself. It merely obeys the standards set by others. It creates a permanent state of lack. You are always not enough, not rich enough, not fit enough. There is no competition. There is only you and your potential. The only metric that matters is, are you better than you were yesterday? The fourth is the dungeon of resentment. Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. This is the internal site where you store your grudges. You keep a ledger of everyone who has ever wronged you. You think this anger protects you. You think it keeps you sharp. But Machiavelli would tell you that resentment is a heavy armor. It might protect you from a blow, but it is so heavy that it prevents you from moving. It binds you to the person you hate. As long as you resent them, they are renting space in your head for free. Forgive them. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free of them. Evict them from your mental property. The fifth is the void of self-denial. This is the debilitating space where you incessantly tell yourself, I can't, I don't deserve this, or who am I to lead? This is the imposter syndrome. It is an internal construct built from the adopted voices of others' parents, teachers, society. It is a self-imposed ceiling. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the bold. The world does not give power to those who ask for permission. It gives power to those who take it. When you deny your own power, you are insulting the potential that was placed within you. You are capable of infinitely more than you believe. The only thing stopping you is the story you keep telling yourself. Change the story. The sixth is the waiting room. This is the most crowded room in all of humanity. This is the deceptive mental space where you convince yourself that tomorrow you will change. I'll start the business when the economy is better. I'll go to the gym when I have more time. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. It creates a state of suspended animation. You are not living, you are waiting to live. Machiavelli utterly despised this sight. He knew that opportunity is a fleeting woman. She must be seized. She does not wait for you to be ready. Prolonged waiting destroys more lives than failure ever could. Failure is at least an outcome. Waiting is a void. There is no perfect time. The conditions will never be ideal. Start now with what you have, where you are. The seventh is the sight of self-deception. Finally, the most dangerous room, the room of lies. This is where you justify your bad habits, where you blame your lack of results on bad luck or the system, where you tell yourself you are working hard when you are actually just busy. Machiavelli warned that any prince who cannot look at himself with brutal honesty is condemned to lose his throne. You cannot fix a problem you refuse to acknowledge. Self-deception is the blindfold you tie around your own eyes before walking onto a battlefield. Look in the mirror. Own your flaws. Own your mistakes. Radical responsibility is the foundation of all power. Now, take a breath. You might be feeling a sense of heaviness. You might recognize yourself in the plaza of lament, or you might realize you have been living in the waiting room for 10 years. This discomfort is good. It is the pain of waking up. Machiavelli did not write his philosophy to depress you. He wrote it to arm you. He teaches us that preserving power is not just about conquering new lands. It is about strategic withdrawal. It is about the courage to walk away. To walk away from the table where respect is no longer served. To walk away from the friends who anchor you to the bottom. To walk away from the thoughts that make you small. When you make the conscious decision to close these doors, both the external doors of toxic environments and the internal doors of toxic thoughts, something miraculous happens. Your energy ceases to leak. Your focus returns. Your will becomes a single, sharp arrow instead of a scattered shotgun blast. You do not need to add anything to your life to become powerful. You simply need to subtract the things that make you weak. True power has always been available to you. It was just buried under the noise, the envy, the fear, and the mediocrity. Imagine your life as a kingdom. You are the sovereign. For too long, you have allowed squatters, thieves, and vandals to live in your palace. You have allowed weeds to grow in your gardens. Today is the day you issue the eviction notice. Machiavelli insisted that the strongest ruler is not the one who governs a vast empire of land, but the one who profoundly governs his own presence in the world. Reclaim your territory. Guard your mind like a fortress. Be ruthless with your environment. Thank you for accompanying me on this deep reflection. If this discourse stirred something essential within you, do not let it fade. Subscribe, and let us continue this journey of sovereignty together. And now, I leave you with one question to answer in the silence of your own heart. Which sight, internal or external, will you walk away from today?